General Hospital spoilers reveal that after months of cryptic hints and subtle social media posts from Bryan Craig, fans of General Hospital were finally rewarded with the confirmation that Morgan Corinthos would indeed be returning to Port Charles. His return has stirred up an intense wave of excitement. Not only because of the character's long-standing importance in the series but also because of the profound implications it holds for the Corinthos family. What initially seemed like a fleeting rumor has now become a confirmed plotline, setting the stage for new conflicts, emotional reckonings, and an upheaval in the family dynamics. Morgan's presumed death years ago marked one of the most tragic and defining moments in the General Hospital universe, and the revelation that he survived is bound to throw the family, their relationships, and their empire into a state of chaos. The stakes are higher than ever before, and Morgan's reappearance will have far-reaching consequences. The emotional turmoil in Port Charles will be intense as the characters, especially those closest to Morgan, grapple with the implications of his unexpected return. The news of his return has sparked a firestorm within the Corinthos family, and it has triggered a series of events that could lead to a dramatic shift in the power dynamics within the family and the business. For Sonny, who has spent years living with the pain of losing his son, Morgan's return will be nothing short of earth-shattering. His grief, compounded by years of self-blame and regret, will resurface, and he will have to confront feelings he thought he had buried long ago. The emotional impact on Sonny will be immense, as the presence of his son will force him to examine the decisions he made in the past and what they cost him. The return of Morgan, a son he thought lost forever, will force Sonny to confront his own vulnerability and examine the family dynamics in ways he never expected. For Carly, the return of Morgan means not just the resurrection of old wounds but also a complicated future. Carly has struggled with her own relationship with Sonny, especially after their recent marriage troubles, and now, with Morgan back, she'll have to navigate not only her marriage but also her place in a family that's on the brink of collapse. Carly's ability to support Sonny through this tumultuous time will be tested, and her role in helping him rebuild their family will come into sharper focus. As the emotional fallout from Morgan's return continues to unfold, Jason will find himself caught in the middle. Jason, who has long been Sonny's right-hand man and the protector of the family, will now have to contend with his own feelings of betrayal and loss. Morgan's reappearance will force Jason to reevaluate everything he has worked for and his place in the family. The dynamics between Jason and Sonny, once so solid, may now face new challenges as Jason tries to navigate the complex emotional landscape that Morgan's return has created. Drew, on the other hand, is likely to view Morgan's return as a direct threat to his standing in the family. Drew, who has spent years trying to carve out his own place within the Courtemain and Corinthos families, has been struggling with his own personal and emotional turmoil. Morgan's reemergence, after all the time Drew has spent trying to secure his position, is going to unsettle him. The power struggle within the family will escalate, and Drew will have to face the reality that his role is now in jeopardy. Drew's obsession with power and control will clash with the family's need for healing, and the fallout from this conflict will only deepen the rift between him and the rest of the family. The return of Morgan Corinthos will not be without its challenges, and the emotional toll it takes on each character will be profound. The family that once appeared to be fractured beyond repair is now facing an even more dangerous and complicated future. The legacy that Morgan left behind, the love he shared with his family, and the betrayal he endured will all come rushing back, forcing everyone to reckon with the past in order to move forward. Sonny, Carly, Jason, Drew, and everyone else involved will have to confront their own emotional scars, deal with the ghosts of their past, and figure out what the future holds for them as a family. As for Morgan, his return will not only be a test of his relationships with his family but also a challenge to his own identity. The years of presumed death, the secrets he's kept, and the trauma he's endured will shape the man he is now. Morgan's return will force him to reconcile with his past, with the people who have wronged him, and with the consequences of his long absence. Whether Morgan can reclaim his place in the family and what role he will play in the future of the Courtemain Corinthos empire remains to be seen. The emotional upheaval caused by his return is sure to shake the foundations of Port Charles, and the ripple effects will be felt for years to come. As General Hospital moves forward, Morgan's re-emergence will redefine the Corinthos family, and every member will have to decide how they will adapt to the changes he brings. Will Morgan be the catalyst for healing? Or will his return only deepen the divisions and conflicts that have plagued the family for years? The answer to that question will unfold in the coming months, but one thing is certain. Morgan's return is the spark that will ignite a new, unpredictable chapter in the story of Port Charles. As fans eagerly await the next developments, they are left to wonder if the return of Morgan will be the key to restoring what was lost or if it will bring even greater challenges that will push the family to their limits. Morgan's return to Port Charles is set to be more than just a simple family reunion. It's poised to upend the entire power structure within the Corinthos family, especially when it comes to Sonny, Michael, and Jason. As Morgan steps back into the fold after being presumed dead for so long, his reappearance presents an opportunity for the family to heal, but also a storm that could unravel the already fragile relationships between its members. With Sonny facing increasing pressure from both his personal struggles and the escalating criminal chaos surrounding his empire, Morgan's return comes at a critical time. The weight of his absence has been felt deeply by Sonny, who, despite his resilience, has been struggling with guilt, loneliness, and the emotional strain of dealing with a family constantly on the brink of collapse. But as Morgan resurfaces, Sonny is forced to confront not only his complicated emotions surrounding his son's presumed death but also the shifting dynamics within the family. Michael, always at the center of his father's world, will likely feel the pressure of Morgan's return in ways he hadn't anticipated. For years, Michael has been Sonny's heir apparent, shouldering the weight of the family business and its responsibilities. But with Morgan back, Michael's place as the chosen successor to Sonny's criminal empire may be called into question. Morgan's return forces Michael to reconsider his role within the family, as it seems inevitable that Sonny will begin to view Morgan as the true heir to his legacy. The emotional toll this shift will have on Michael cannot be overstated. He has spent his life in his father's shadow, dealing with the weight of expectations, but now, Morgan's unexpected re-entry into the family dynamic threatens to displace Michael from the very place he thought he had secured. The strain between the brothers will only intensify, as Michael will have to reconcile his sense of duty with the possible re-emergence of Morgan as Sonny's successor. This conflict will test their relationship in ways they haven't experienced before, as both brothers fight for their father's approval and legacy. Meanwhile, Jason, who has always been Sonny's right-hand man, faces a dilemma of his own. Jason has long been the protector of the Corinthos family, but Morgan's return forces him to confront the reality that Sonny may need a new heir, one who will carry the weight of the family business into the future. Jason's loyalty to Sonny and his family is unshakable, but the emotional toll of this new family dynamic, where Morgan may be seen as the rightful successor to Sonny's empire, will force him to reevaluate his own position. Jason's role has always been one of protection and support, but now, with Morgan back and Sonny's health uncertain, Jason must grapple with the reality of whether he will remain in the background, supporting the family from the shadows, or whether his own future in the family business is in jeopardy. But Morgan's return doesn't just threaten the relationships between Sonny, Michael, and Jason, it also brings to the surface a new, darker obsession. As Sonny faces the reality of his own potential vulnerability, especially as his health becomes a greater concern, Morgan's presence becomes a stark reminder of the shifting power dynamics within the family. Sonny, for all his bravado, will eventually have to face the reality that his time may be running out. And the question of who will inherit his empire becomes increasingly urgent. The arrival of Morgan raises the chilling possibility that Sonny may need to pass the torch sooner than he anticipated. And Morgan may be the only one worthy of carrying on the family legacy. This realization, Morgan as the rightful heir, will challenge everything Sonny has worked for. And he will find himself in the throes of a new obsession, ensuring that his legacy survives intact, regardless of what it costs him or those around him. The shock of Morgan's return, and the inevitable power struggle it triggers, will force the family to confront not only their own personal insecurities but also the weight of their choices. Morgan's position as Sonny's heir will undoubtedly shake the foundations of the family, testing the bonds between the brothers, the loyalty of Jason, and Michael's ability to rise to the occasion. But perhaps the most shocking revelation is the one that Morgan will bring with him. He is not just returning to reclaim his place in the family, he is returning to reclaim his birthright. And in doing so, he is exposing the deep cracks in the Corinthos family's empire. His return will be both a catalyst for change and a reminder of everything that has been lost along the way. As the family navigates the fallout from Morgan's reappearance, the tensions will only intensify, and the question of who will ultimately inherit Sonny's empire will hang over them all. Will Sonny hand over the reins to Morgan, the son he thought he lost forever, or will Michael fight to maintain his place as the rightful heir? Jason, ever the protector, will likely struggle with the shifting dynamics and his own loyalty to both Sonny and Morgan. The emotional stakes are high, and the future of the Corinthos empire hangs in the balance. What's clear is that Morgan's return is not just a reunion, it is the beginning of a new era, one filled with power struggles, family betrayals, and the ultimate question of who will rise to claim the empire that Sonny has built. The obsessive need to control, the fear of losing everything, and the push to secure the future will drive the family to make decisions that will forever change the course of their lives. This new obsession with Morgan's return will send shockwaves through the Corinthos family, and in the end, it will prove that the true battle for control has only just begun. Morgan's return to Port Charles is not only shaking the foundations of the Corinthos family but is also setting the stage for a complete transformation in the criminal underworld. Once thought to be a lost figure, Morgan is now emerging as the powerful force that will take control of the empire. His return marks the beginning of a new chapter in the family's legacy. But it also signals the rise of Morgan as a new kind of leader, one who will stop at nothing to claim his place at the top and eliminate anyone who stands in his way. As Morgan steps into this role, he brings with him a fierce, almost obsessive determination to reclaim what he believes is rightfully his, and those who have wronged him or crossed his path will find themselves in grave danger. The once lost son, who had been on the outskirts of the family for so long, is now becoming the man who commands respect, and soon, fear, as Morgan asserts his dominance. His first targets are those who have been on the fringes of his family's affairs, individuals like Ava, Rick, Sidwell, and Brennan, who are all now in his sights. Ava, with her dangerous schemes and long-standing manipulations, becomes one of the first to realize that her time of unchecked power in Port Charles may be over. Once a key figure in the criminal world, she now finds herself threatened by the very son of Sonny Corinthos, the man she once considered a mere shadow in the family. Morgan's obsession with power and control has no room for anyone who poses a threat to his reign, and Ava, despite her cunning, becomes a pawn in the game that Morgan is determined to win. Her manipulative nature, which once served her well, now becomes her undoing as Morgan systematically dismantles the power structures she has relied on. Rick, ever the opportunist, also finds himself in Morgan's crosshairs. Having always lived in the shadows of the family's legacy, Rick's position has always been precarious at best. He has never been fully trusted by the Corinthos family, and Morgan's return only serves to highlight the tenuousness of Rick's standing in Port Charles. With Morgan taking control, Rick realizes that his time of scheming in the background has come to an end. His connections and manipulations are no match for the fierce determination and ruthlessness that Morgan brings to the table. As Morgan's power grows, Rick will find himself struggling to stay relevant, and in the end, he may become one of the many casualties of Morgan's rise to the top. Sidwell, another key player in the criminal underworld, is not immune to the threat that Morgan poses. As an ally of the Corinthos family, Sidwell has always been able to operate under the radar. But Morgan's obsessive need for control means that no one, no matter their past alliances, will be left untouched. Sidwell's position, once secure, is now in jeopardy as Morgan asserts his dominance over the family's business dealings. Sidwell, who may have once considered himself untouchable, quickly realizes that his standing is no longer guaranteed, and his actions may soon come back to haunt him. Brennan, too, finds himself on the chopping block as Morgan grows more powerful. As a key figure in the criminal world, Brennan has long been a shadowy figure, working behind the scenes to keep things running smoothly for those in power. However, Morgan's ruthless ascent means that no one is safe. And those who have relied on their connections and quiet influence are about to learn that Morgan's obsession with power will not allow any competition to exist. Brennan will either have to submit to Morgan's authority or face the consequences, and as the pressure mounts, it becomes clear that Morgan is not a leader who tolerates weakness or disloyalty. Morgan's obsessive desire for control and his unyielding need to establish his dominance make him an increasingly dangerous force, not just to his family, but to everyone around him. His actions, fueled by his belief that he is the rightful heir to the Corinthos legacy, will send shockwaves through the criminal underworld. As former allies are forced to either align with him or face their demise. Morgan's rise to power represents a shift in the balance of power in Port Charles. And no one, whether family or enemy, will be left unscathed by the storm he is about to unleash. The obsession that Morgan has developed, one born from years of feeling abandoned and powerless, is now driving him to take what he believes is rightfully his. As his power grows, so does his ruthlessness. And the people who once occupied positions of influence are now forced to reckon with the reality that they are no longer in control. Morgan's return is no longer about reclaiming his place in the family, it's about asserting his dominance over everyone in his orbit, removing those who threaten his rule, and making it clear that he will stop at nothing to secure his legacy. His actions are no longer just about reclaiming what was lost, they are about creating an empire that will bend to his will, where anyone who dares to challenge him will be swept away without mercy. In this new chapter of General Hospital, Morgan's obsession with power has become a driving force that will reshape the future of the Corinthos family and the criminal world they inhabit. His rise to the top, marked by his cold and calculated decisions, is a warning to all who have crossed him. Ava, Rick, Sidwell, and Brennan may have once been safe, but in the new world that Morgan is building, their survival is no longer guaranteed. His return has sparked a chain reaction that is only beginning to unfold. And the shockwaves will continue to reverberate throughout Port Charles as Morgan becomes the new boss, one whose obsession with power may be the very thing that destroys everyone in his path. Bryan Craig is eagerly anticipating his return to Port Charles, and the growing excitement around his character, Morgan Corinthos, is palpable. This development signifies not just the return of a beloved character, but also the beginning of a new, intense chapter that promises to shake things up in ways fans haven't seen before. Morgan's reappearance marks the culmination of several layers of unresolved tension and unfinished business, not only with his family but also within the broader power dynamics in Port Charles. The anticipation surrounding his return reflects a major shift, one that is poised to affect the entire Corinthos family and beyond. What makes this situation even more captivating is the intense obsession that has built up around Morgan's character. After being presumed dead for so long, Morgan's return is more than just a revival, it represents a significant power shift that could challenge everything the Corinthos family has built. The mystery surrounding his supposed death, combined with his long absence, has created a sense of intrigue that only deepens with each mention of his name. This growing obsession, both from fans and characters within the show, is setting the stage for an even more explosive narrative. Morgan's presence will undoubtedly force the family to confront their past, with the lingering question of what he's been through and what he now wants. Bryan Craig's return to General Hospital is a new beginning, not just for Morgan but for the entire storyline. The promise of his return has sparked new theories, speculations, and excitement about how Morgan will impact the Corinthos legacy. This is no ordinary return, this is the moment where the fabric of Port Charles will stretch and bend under the weight of Morgan's reemergence. The family dynamics will be tested in ways they haven't been before. Morgan is coming back. And his return is not just about catching up on lost time, it's about shaking the very foundation of the power struggles that have defined his family story. What makes this return even more thrilling is the chaos it's expected to bring. The family's complicated history, including the unresolved grief over Morgan's supposed death, will come rushing back to the surface. The emotional impact will reverberate through every relationship, especially with Sunny, Carly, Michael, and Jason, all of whom have their own ties to Morgan and his past. Each of these characters will have to reckon with what Morgan's return means for them personally and for the family as a whole. The emotional tension, combined with the underlying threat of a power struggle, will create a perfect storm. as Morgan steps back into this world. It's clear that his return won't just be a simple reunion, it will ignite a series of events that will change the course of the family's future forever. In many ways, Morgan's reappearance is not just about resurrecting a character, it's about the obsession and the unchecked ambition that has fueled his journey. It's a reflection of how obsession, when left unchecked, can drive a person to extremes. Just as his return will create shockwaves in Port Charles, it will also reveal the extent of Morgan's transformation. No longer the young man who once stood by his father's side, Morgan now returns as someone who has been shaped by years of hardship, loss, and pain. This transformation will not only affect his relationships with his family but will also introduce a darker, more calculating side to his character. Morgan's obsession with reclaiming his place and asserting his control will undoubtedly lead to unpredictable and dramatic consequences. Morgan's return is more than just the revival of a fan favorite, it's the start of a wild, unpredictable ride that will challenge everything the Corinthos family holds dear. His presence will disrupt the fragile peace they've managed to maintain and force them to confront their unresolved issues. It's a return that's full of promise, chaos, and dramatic potential. Fans can't help but wonder, will Morgan rise to reclaim his rightful place, or will his return ignite a destructive force that threatens to tear the family apart? What's clear is that his comeback is not just about re-entering Port Charles, it's about reshaping the future of the Corinthos Empire. Pushing every character to their limits and testing their loyalties in the most intense way possible. Bryan Craig's return is not just an opportunity for fans to revisit an old favorite, it's a pivotal moment that will set in motion a new era for the Corinthos family. One that will be defined by obsession, rivalry, and the relentless pursuit of power. As Morgan steps back into the spotlight, the storylines will evolve, the family dynamics will shift. And the stakes will be higher than ever. What began as a return from the dead will soon spiral into a much more intense and unpredictable journey that will redefine the future of the Quartermaines. The Corinthos Empire, and the lives of everyone involved. This is the beginning of a new chapter, one that fans are anxiously waiting to see unfold.